those things, and they make me laugh, and then I usually like store them in the back of my head somewhere, and then they end up on the stage.
I think that there was a point in time where rap was pretty much like non-existent in Ohio.
I actually grew up listening to pop music.
It's the coolest thing in the entire universe.
I love Ohio. I miss it.
Stomach started growling, and he started slowing the way he was walking and taking smaller strides, and you could tell something was definitely not right.
All my stuff has literary elements to it.
We've gotten to such a phase where it's people can just say they're an artist.
You know, wading through a sea of drunks, trying to do the best he can for the band.
Being in a room full of all your best friends, even if you don't know anybody, because you can sing and dance together and just have a really good time.
If you don't know, you don't need to know, man.
Would you like to do a podcast?
Lake Erie or the Cuyahoga River.
You always gotta make it into something, don't you? Can't just hang out.
People complain that there's nothing to do here, but there is. You just have to go look for it.
The nursery and all of the trees cross over the dark, and some old parking lots hold my whimpering thoughts, and I'm on the next train. You and me, can't you see what this means? In the light of a torch, realize nothing is forced. Nothing is forced. The nursery and all of the trees cross over the dark, and some old parking lots hold my whimpering thoughts, and I'm on the next train. You and me, can't you see what this means? In the light of a torch, realize nothing is forced, nothing is forced, nothing is forced, nothing is forced.
Hey guys, welcome to Nursery Podcast. My name is Lee Boyle.
Hey, I'm Matt Campbell.
So Matt, locals in Ohio, Northeast Ohio, might possibly know you from what exactly?
Well, we've opened up Branch Street Coffee Roasters about a year ago, actually to the day. And it's been kind of a wild ride. So we're roasting fresh coffee in Boardman, Youngstown area. And it's making some great drinks. We're full service espresso, fresh roasted coffee, and a regular cafe.
Mm-hmm. That's cool. And I'm myself am a fan. What's the address for people who live under a rock?
Okay, well, we're on 224, so it's 1393 Boardman Canfield Road, and that's in Boardman. So area code is 44512.
And then that 1393, if I'm not mistaken, is kind of like the overall address for this whole building, correct? So people gotta, not much, but just gotta keep an eye when they pull in. It's where are we closest to here? A couple, well, there's like Orange Avocado just opened over there, which is one of our sponsors. But we also got, what's that, Cards, does that say, or something?
The Cards and Collectibles. We're in the old Cards and Collectibles spot. If you're more of a navigational or like a landmark person, we're right between Blue Wolf Tavern and Creekside Fitness.
Yeah, you never know. You know, like I like to keep the possibilities for audience open in my mind, because who knows who's listening.
I'm all about landmarks. I don't know numbers.
Yeah. Landmark. Yeah, that sounds like an Ohio thing. So my next question: were you local your whole life, or did you go away, or were you away and now you are an Ohioan?
I'm actually imported. I was imported from New Jersey. My wife is an Austintown native, so I met her out here. Interestingly enough, I was really close friends with her brother, and he wanted me to come back to Youngstown with him, so he showed me Youngstown area and wanted me to fall in love with it. Fell in love with his sister, so yeah, we're still good friends, believe it or not, but yeah, I came back for love.
That's awesome.
Love of the community, and we've really just we love Youngstown. We're raising our family here.
Mm-hmm. And one of the only times I can confidently say you stepped up is that you've come from New Jersey. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Honestly, it really is a step up, though. If you've ever been to New Jersey, I mean, it's a great place. There's a lot to do there, but it's much more fast-paced. People are kind of more curt, and out here, people are just nicer. It's warmer. There's so much in this area that you can do.
Jersey, I remember a few times me and the guys in the band that frequents this podcast, Third Class, we toured through, and it was an interesting thing because there are a lot of weird little U-turns and lights on U-turns and stuff.
Driving is a totally different experience in New Jersey.
And you pay a lot to drive there.
You pay a lot to drive. You take your life in your hands, too. The moment you cross over into Jersey, you're usually greeted with a horn and a finger, so that's how you know you're home.
Definitely, and I remember way back, in 2005, we toured. It wasn't any Jersey dates, but we made it through Jersey, and then we were in Long Island for a while, and people were just, we were 21-year-olds driving, so like people were just screaming at, or 20-year-olds driving, and so we hesitated because we're from East Palestine, Ohio.
Right. It's a totally different world. I mean, if you're not doing 10 miles an hour over, you're too slow. So
I definitely hear that. That's what it felt like there, and it was nice. The shows we played were good, and the people were real nice. Like the people, when you isolated them, seemed small towny, but then I guess just when they got in the cars, they became
right. Oh, you're an animal when you drive.
Yeah, something was different.
Switch gets flipped.
Yeah, and around here, people just drive around with their turn signals on while they're going straight, and
which is cool.
Slow,
just anticipate it.
Yeah. At least you know. And so you're around here. You're an import from New Jersey. You started a coffee place, Branch Street Coffee Roasters. Why did I see you open this store and run in here and be like, hey, you ever want to have anything to do with my podcast? Let me know. Like, why did
that excitement? It's funny. It's small mom and pop things I feel are really having a comeback. People want more quality instead of quantity. They want someone that's actually put the blood, sweat, and tears into it. They want to know the source, where it came from. They want to know the quality is being put forward by someone that they can attach a name to. You can go through any drive-through and get the same things, but if you come through here, you're actually meeting a person behind it. You're meeting the baristas. You're getting to know it. It's much more of a community feel. It's much more of a warm incentive, I guess, because you feel like you're at home. You're among friends, and that's really what we're all about here. Is having not just accountability. Like you can say, oh, this was great coffee or not. It's more that you can have an experience. Coffee's an experience, it's something that you're not going to get anywhere else.
Right, and so that must have been why I kind of wanted to set foot in here when you came in, because I think coffee, like music, like a couple of the other businesses around here, is this kind of blue-collar luxury where you're, on one hand, you're being relatively like hands-on and practical with these big bags of beans that you're roasting in the store, but on the other hand, we all know coffee, like maybe some artistic moments in this area of Ohio, is this like nice little special thing that you can do with your friends socially, and you can be like, oh wow, let's go have some coffee and think up some ideas. It kind of goes hand in hand. Coffee's the elixir for music, or however.
For sure.
So why do you look at us as kind of part of some sort of blue-collar luxury in that we can enjoy it, like as opposed to the generation before us, or
it even transcends that a little bit, because especially with what we're doing here is specialty coffee, so it's a little bit of a finer coffee, and the price points are really pretty much the same. So you're coming to a place and you're actually getting your money's worth. So we're trying to stop thinking of coffee as a commodity and start thinking as like you said, like a luxury, but it's something you can savor, something you can really enjoy. And with that usually comes good times, good people, just getting together with it. It becomes like a Thanksgiving thing, where there's a ritual involved with it. You get together with your friends and you have a great meal and you have a great time and you kick back and chat. Mm-hmm. So I think that kind of goes hand in hand, but it's for everybody. It's not just a blue collar thing. It's having a few moments in your life of sanity where you can kind of like regroup, start your day or end your day, and just kind of gather everything together. It's your moment, it's your tranquility.
Mm-hmm. And I was recently for the third time visited a place I write about a lot, Seattle and Portland, and that they had a big hand in that, plus maybe culture like Frasier and things like that, where for a moment coffee that wasn't just in a little cup in your office break room was fancy. And I'm glad that that's not the case anymore. That now for everyone,
it's totally accessible.
Yeah.
And the West Coast had so much to do with that too. I mean, a lot of this small roasting, people realize that they could have a much better product than if it's roasted freshly. The West Coast kind of started that, and it's been spreading since then because people realized there was a tremendous benefit to having these roasteries. So we're popping up all over the place, which is great for the coffee community at large. Like I love seeing this, what we call third wave coffee. It's more about the quality of the coffee itself. I love seeing that pop up because it means that people are opening up to that. It's not about the drive-through anymore, throwing it out the window as quickly as you can. It's about savoring and enjoying what you actually have.
Mm-hmm. And I don't want to throw other people who are these quote third wave coffee businesses under the bus because I like all of them, but I noticed that you guys go a little bit of the extra mile where there's a little bit of, if not a lot, of personality in your store.
Right.
And there are many third wavers who have this weird little like everything must be at a right angle and perfect, and they kind of lose the edge off themselves. Just the personality. The coffee is great, but they lose the like, hey man, look, you can walk in and Matt's hanging out roasting. Hey, say hi to him. You guys still have that personality involved.
We actually, there was a lot of work that went into that. We wanted to be approachable because third wave coffee, like you said, it can be a little bit pretentious and
it can be minimal to the point of a fault. Correct?
Yeah, absolutely. We try to we wanted to have our personality involved as well, so we very carefully structured, like there's a reason that the espresso machine is facing you instead of facing the back wall, because if you order your coffee and it's an espresso drink, I'm not going to turn my back on you while I make it. I want to ask you about how your day is, because we now have 2 minutes, 3 minutes to chat to get to know each other as we hand off this drink, because it's not just about the coffee. The coffee should be exceptional, and that's what you'd expect and that's what you look for, but it's also about the experience of having that coffee, and that's something very carefully crafted here. We wanted to have the industrial kind of feel, tip of the hat to Youngstown, which kind of built the area. So that's why we display the roaster proudly. It's a piece of art as well as it is, useful. But we also wanted to warm it up. We put some wood tones in there. We put some comfortable seating because we want you to be comfortable here.
Yeah. I mean, that's a nice thing to see. And I've not seen anybody who's necessarily minimized to the point where they've made me upset. But I have seen recently in Portland, Oregon, you guys never do this, and I love it because I still don't know, though I love it. I can't technically speak of it properly. And when I went into Stumptown, one of those, which is great, there was a guy in there, and I knew it was going to be this way because it's always like this outside of Ohio, where like I went in and I said something, and I said something slightly wrong. Like I was like, could I get your cold brew? Or no, could I get your iced or your cold brew? And I switched my order for a second. And he was like, for future reference, iced is not cold brew. And he turned something. I can't remember what he said, but it didn't matter what he said. It was that.
Yeah, and you get
the
that
Ohio
feeling.
warmth was not there.
That's the thing too. Like you talked a moment ago, and I'll reference it because you said that it was approachable. It was like kind of like the blue collar thing. It was, and we want that because you can be turned off, and we don't want to minimize the people that come in. We don't want to cut it to a certain amount of people that know exactly what they're talking about. If they pronounce the origin wrong, we're going to throw them out. I want you to come in. I want you to have fun with this and explore it, because a lot of these people that come through our doors, it's their first experience with specialty coffee. So we have a little fun with it. We have a couple blends. We name them fun things like This and That, which is a mix between two different coffees. We have something called Nothing Fancy, which is geared and engineered to be very much like your introduction to specialty coffee. It's nothing really popping out about it. We have a breakfast blend that tastes like morning, we say, because it's bright. We threw a little bit of Ethiopian in there just to give it a little brightness. And all of those things are engineered to bring people in and then get them to experience specialty coffee in a fun and friendly way. And then a lot of them go on to actually start experimenting a little bit more. They'll start ordering single origins. They're looking for pour overs. They want to know the tasting notes on a coffee, or you see this change happen in them, but they never would have experienced that if they came in and felt out of place. So we want you to feel in place.
Well, does that mean, it seems like in one way you're happy to educate them if they have questions, but on the other hand, you yourself like to just learn about coffee, to be an encyclopedia about coffee. When did that start? What age did it start? Was it like, are you one of these people that's good at everything and you were like, spun a wheel and you were like, I'm gonna do coffee, or were you just into it?
It was the first specialty cup of coffee that I had, I guess you could say, was life-changing. I worked in medicine for 12 years. So I was living in New Jersey. My brother-in-law, my best friend, was a physician out there doing his training, and he brought me back to Youngstown. When I'm done with training, I'm gonna introduce you to Youngstown. You can come back and work for me in my practice. And while I was out there, I had a taste of specialty coffee, and it was phenomenal. It was some of the best. I couldn't understand what made it so different, so I started going into that shop all of the time. And then I realized it was because it was fresh roasted, and coffee didn't taste all the same. I'd always tasted coffee, and it was always the same. So the specialty coffee, the different roasting styles, the different origins, was suddenly open up to me and suddenly new. So I went crazy. I went to every local little roaster, started trying different coffees. It was the same way that I'm introducing it to people here, fun and friendly, and then all of a sudden they're looking for what else is there? What else have I been missing? So that's what happened to me, and I guess you could say it evolved. It was a rabbit hole, and it evolved into Branch Street.
Wow.
we have our own store now.
Well, that's kind of nice to hear. Like, I wouldn't have discredited you if you were like, I spun a wheel and chose some because I'm good at everything. But like, it's neat that you really did have that kind of moving moment with a cup of coffee. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, it was altering, totally altering. I mean, if you'd told me 7 years ago that I would be a coffee roaster, I would have told you were crazy. I had a great career. I loved what I was doing.
Medicine. So medicine before that. Interesting, man. Well, that kind of ensures that you've kind of got the follow your dream message to people, because I am imagining you were somewhat secure before.
Yeah, we were totally secure. It was I was happy what I was doing, but I had that coffee, and it kind of like, and I was like, there's more out here. What if I could do something that I love? Like, I love this coffee, and I've really fallen for it. And so we kind of threw security out the window and said, we're young enough where we can go for it. We did that chase your dream moment. If this whole thing falls flat on its face and this whole thing crashes down, we have enough time that we can recover. So it was like, let's pull up the anchors and set sail, see where this goes.
So you had enough time that you could recover based on your age, correct? That's what you mean by that.
Yeah.
It's not that you had something in your back pocket as far as a job necessarily.
Well, I kept my licenses active. They still are active.
Sure.
But at this point, I've been out of the field for 2 years. If you're a computer programmer and you're out of the field for 2 years, you're toast. So I'm a quick learner, but we did kind of put everything into this. So we put all of our eggs in this basket. We went on the faith that if we love this enough, other people are going to love it too, and we can introduce people to it. And we've been so far fortunate. It's been true. We're really putting a lot of dedication into the way that we roast it, into the coffee that we choose, and into the way that we present it. And it has caught fire. People are really excited about it.
That's cool. That's the philosophy of a lot of things, including this podcast, as far as we have a lot of faith in that the listener will find us because we love what we do here among the other facets. But what do you like in the world of more directly artsy creativity? Like, do you listen to podcasts? Do you have favorite bands or music or that kind of thing? Do you want to speak on like that side of creative life?
Yeah, creativity is just it's the root of all of the great stuff that we have is because of creative people and because of the creativity and the love that they put into it, and we're hoping to be a part of that too. But I was actually I followed a band around for a couple summers called Mo. It was a jam band. We went up and down the East Coast with them. We were getting tickets every opportunity we could. I love all kinds of music all across the spectrum. We've had third-class records in here too. I made sure to go ahead and get that album and love everything you guys did. It's just it's really cool to have that. A big part of what we do here is art too. We have different artists come through, putting their art up on the walls because I want to expose people to that. I've never had the opportunity to go to a place where unknown artists were discovered, and we wanted to kind of make that something here, which is great for our store too, because we constantly have different a look, a different appeal, different artists are coming through, so the atmosphere is always changing with that art, and it keeps it kind of fresh and it keeps it fun.
Yeah, you guys, it's really nice to see you blur the line between any sort of art and any other kind of art, because more and more as I ask these questions and as I've talked to other people, I do realize that there is just no separation between, like, sometimes you want to put this practicality on food and drink and separate it out of like creative life, but it's not so. Music is everywhere.
It is.
energy is everywhere. Coffee kind of speaks to those and maybe fuels one, or one is a result of the other, etc. So it's sometimes I have a confidence problem if I walk into a record shop or a small coffee place. I'm like, hey, will you, like you guys did, you sold it. Like, will you sell this? Will you sell our record, or will you hand out our sticker? But in the back of my mind, on my best day, I know I'm like, no. A lot of this stuff just goes hand in hand. This will work. The people that come in are like wanting new music. There's no better place to find someone who wants new music other than maybe a coffee place, a bar. Some place that someone's consuming something and they're having a conversation while they do it.
Right. Well, the great part about coffee shops in general, doesn't matter if it's local chain or whatever, is that they are the one thing that a lot of people, most Americans, have in common is coffee. So you get all walks of life coming through. The first thing we wanted to do was put a bulletin board up, which is covered. People are always putting something up there, and it's kind of a collective community area. So things like that, like music, like it might not appeal to everyone that comes through the door, but you have a higher percentage of people that it will appeal to. So it does have a very eclectic consumer base, I guess. And nothing was more clear than that. Where I did my apprenticeship in Jersey was a little place called Bouscardu, and it was in Monmouth Beach. And when the hurricane came through and just wiped out the Jersey shore, that community, Monmouth Beach, was totally devastated. National Guard was there and they shut down, and so if you didn't have a business there or you didn't have a home there, they wouldn't let you through. And there was no power, there's no electricity, there's no water running, there's no facilities basically. So people were coming through to assess the damage on their homes just days after the storm had left. And the coffee shop wasn't as badly affected. They got 6 inches of water, but it didn't kill them. Everyone came to the coffee shop, the entire community, whether they liked coffee, whether they had been in there or not. That was one place that they fired up a generator, they started brewing coffee, and he was just giving coffee away. He was like, just please, it's middle of the winter, grab coffee, this is the meeting place, and it became the bulletin board. So you create a community by having the coffee shop open. So that was one of the things we knew was going to happen. We put the bulletin board up immediately. We have local vendors selling their things here. Like, this is the meeting place. This is where people go.
Yeah, man. And I mean, that's a good attitude to have, because I know some people feel like they're shooting themselves in the foot if they go and have meetings with other business owners, or if they have too much advertisement for something that has nothing to do with their own thing in there. But it's nice, just a bulletin board, a place where it all can be kind of directed, one spot everyone knows, without taking anything away. You guys recently had a thing where you helped, where you paired up with Birdfish Brewing from Columbiana, and did things like that, and it never seems to hurt anybody. It just seems to be like, oh, we're going to share some fans, some customers, some people.
Yeah,
like that.
And it's fun working with other people. Like what we're in a position now where we have coffee, and someone who brews beer says, hey, we wanted to make this coffee stout. Like, how cool is that? Our coffee's in a beer now, and it's delicious.
Yeah.
It's not just a gimmick. It's actually really good beer. It's a great reviews. So we had a fantastic opportunity to do that, and that was so much fun. I hope we get to do stuff like that in the future. But in the same way, like, we are a small business. I want to work with other small businesses. It's fun. It's there's new products out there. It expands our knowledge base. It expands our ability to work with, collaborate with, and really put out some new things. I hate that word collaborate too. It's just being a good person. You don't have to have a special name for it. You're just working with other good people.
Right.
Collaboration, I guess, is the word for it. But it's just having fun and sharing products and sharing knowledge.
Yeah, anytime me and the guys in third class have gotten too precious about, like, say, a live set or not involving people in the studio, it's always been the wrong move. It's always been better to, it's never been anything serious, but it's always been better to include and be like a big, like, community campfire style of things. Like, anytime the reason things like that happen is you get that one weird fan, or say customer, or whatever you want to call them, spectator, person who's supportive, awesome, but they come up to you and they say something to the effect of, I'm just interested in this. Why don't you have that? Or or you guys should have went on earlier. Why did you let all your buddies open for you and let the set go? You know, there's always that, like, came here for this. Why did I have to wait for it? And that person's usually in the minority, but they're always the one that voices the opinion.
Right. They are, and that's. I mean, you have to be careful too. Like, you do get feedback, and usually the feedback is from people that are either super excited or super disappointed. So you have to gauge where they're coming from with that too. We've been pretty fortunate. Like, there are some people that will come through and say, "What do you mean you don't have 40 different flavors for me to choose from?" And you know, they might be more the person that ends up going to one of the bigger chains that has 40 things to choose from, and that's fine. You know, like, they've learned what we're about, and you know, maybe we're not for them. But more often than not, the people that find you know what they're coming in for. They know what they're looking for. So in your case too, you know, that the fans that you'll have come to your shows might, you know, the ones that know, they understand your style, they know what you're all about, and they know what to expect. The one-off person might say, it wasn't really for me. They came on a half hour late, and they had these people opening that we didn't know. So they might not be back the next time, but it's probably better because now you have a more intimate setting with more people that are into it.
Yeah, if that's the deal breaker. So, okay, as we wrap up, let me ask you, the entrepreneurial, I knew I was going to say driven. When you're driven, right? When you're an entrepreneur, and that spirit, you know, coincides with these get-togethers you were describing, and music. You followed a band. You know, you've had like a well-rounded moment in life where you probably have people that are drawn to you that are creative. To the people that are listening to the podcast who might be like these lonely Ohioans that work in a hardware store and they don't realize there's us out there, they don't realize there's others out there that like creative stuff. There's tons of, I'm not trying to say we're super unique listeners, but there's some people who are super lonely because they are you know, maybe they're poets and they're working in a Home Depot, or maybe they're people who want to get out there and socialize, but they've just somehow lived a life where it has been suppressed. Yeah. Is there anything you want to speak to those people, like as far as following their dreams? Any advice for the listener?
Absolutely. Just, you know, you have, it hit me once when I was sitting outside and I was drinking that coffee. You have one life to live. You have a certain amount of breaths, and it's a beautiful day outside. Just go explore it. Go have fun with it. You know, you can't make your whole life about work, and in the same way, you know, you still have to chase the dream. Go crazy with it. You know, surround yourself with people that are like that. Come out to events. Stay in tune with a lot of the smaller venues that are doing smaller things, and get to know the people that are involved in that. And you never know, you might come across someone that really inspires you, that pushes you to go that extra mile.
That's good advice. Keeping it kind of open and exploring is kind of what I think people don't draw a direct line between being driven and wandering around, but it's true. You actually do need to get out there and kind of put feelers out and kind of almost be flaky almost, and like just get out there and kind of like try to touch every little piece.
Yeah, well, within reason, you still have to pay your rent, but
you don't want to go too crazy.
Right. But you do want to get out there and really see what, you know, experience what you can, and then you never know when you're going to come across something that's going to be altering, like a cup of coffee.
And you know, just to amend, like, when someone tells you to chase your dream, like, it's like, that means, like, I think in LA sometimes that means go work a regular job and then do stand up at an open mic at night. Like, it does mean within reason. It does mean we're not saying, hey man, do it if you can. Like, do it. I've met plenty of people who have changed their careers and done, and you made it. But yeah, it's all kinds of dreams.
It takes a lot of planning. It takes a lot of like insight. It takes a lot of thought and what you're really looking to do. But it's, you know, it's possible. It took a lot of work on our end and a lot of sacrifice. But sometimes that sacrifice is worth it. And you know that the end result, what you're looking for, you know, the reward could be huge, whether it's financial or just satisfying.
Yeah, very true, very true. Okay, so can you say our little tag sign off? Look, Mom, we're on a podcast.
Look, Mom, we're on a podcast.
All right, awesome. And thanks, listeners. Make sure you know to check out thirdclass.net for the backlog episodes of Nursery, and bullskit.com if you want to watch just some silly skits, like home movie style, all kind of associated with this podcast. And we're sponsored by the Orange Avocado, same address in the same building as Branch Street. That's 1393 Boardman Canfield Road, Boardman, Ohio, near Canfield, Ohio. So guys, check out either of those businesses. We're also sponsored by Speaking of Music Show. That's at YouTube podcast. They talk about music of yesterday and today, and they just kind of they broaden the scope compared to Nursery. We zoom in on the Ohio and a Midwesterner doing like small bands you never heard of, stuff like that sometimes, but they talk about like who's better, Nirvana, Foo Fighters? Like they'll give you a better scope if you want to start there and then come back to us just to get Ohioans in on it. So thanks for listening, guys, again. And Branch Street, is it branchstreetcoffee.com?
Oh, it's branchstreetcoffee.com. Yep.
branchstreetcoffee.com if there's one website that you need to go to, branchstreetcoffee.com. Okay, guys, have a good day. Thanks.